So we spoke about your American stylish approach and the way the American sports almost, I'd say, facilitate themselves in kind of a way. It's
Mm,
because it's kind of what they base a lot of their budgets on, isn't it? So
yeah.
I wrote down here for rugby specifically, but I'm scrapping that because there's more to life than rugby than some people believe.
Yeah.
Uh, what would you like to see like European sports almost bring in from the Americas? I think because I maintain that the MLR has the potential to become the biggest rugby cup in the world with adopting what everybody else around them is doing. Because for the visual watchers as well as the audio listeners, there is a New England Free Jacks top behind me. Shout out Alex and the team from season one. Still got the shirt repping. Um, I think the draft is not only a massive viewer spectacle in American sports, but in terms of promoting kids to stick through uni, to then go. I mean, obviously, I know the American, like the bigger sports, pull the kids out in like second year of uni and they finish their degrees when they're 36 or something like that. But still a degree at the end of the day. Doesn't matter what year you got it. What do you think European sports should be looking to integrate from American sports in terms of stats based performance analysis watching? A
Yeah.
nice,
So
easy, light-hearted question there for you.
yeah,
please
no,
fix Please fix European sport in the next 25 minutes.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's difficult because I think the key thing that American sports do, well, what they do well is that they have proper analysis where they actually are breaking down what's happening, and you'll have someone who speaks, um, and doesn't really care whether you're keeping up. It's like it's on you to keep up, and
Mm-hmm.
so when you first start watching American football, um, you get kind of go, oh, I don't know what a blitz is, I don't know what man coverage is, I don't know what a 4-3 is, I don't know what nickel corner is, all this kind of stuff. But nowadays, you just go on Wikipedia, and if there's a sentence that you don't make doesn't make sense because of one word, you'll pick it up, or you can read a book, or you can read Twitter, or yeah, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so the expectation is he's going to talk. I, obviously, inevitably, is a he. And I think that's probably changing, but they're going to talk, and you're going to just be carried along. And at some point, you're either going to understand it from the start, or you're going to be carried along, and at some point, you're going to get it. Which I think actually cricket does well, where the analysis talks about very in depth things like spin rates and seam positions and
Mm-hmm.
swing and all this kind of stuff, which probably the average viewer before they listened didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
And rather than spending time going, "Hey, seam position is this, and this is why it matters," they talk about it in a way that you think, "Okay, I'm going to have a quick look on what seam position means, and now I'll know it for next time." Whereas what frustrates me about the Six Nations, for example, is there's this idea that everyone watching is basically an idiot who, unless
I
they're
know exactly what you mean as well. I
yeah,
can picture it as well.
yeah, unless you're completely led in hand down the path, you just wouldn't have any idea what's going on, which obviously
Mm-hmm.
just isn't the case for most people. Most people, if they're watching the Six Nations, they're going to be interested enough that they're going to want to hear a bit more about what you're saying. Um, and I also think uh, that's what things like American football, when they've been on the BBC, for example, get wrong, is that they try and make it about the celebrities and about the big hits and all this kind of stuff, which might keep you interested for the game, but probably won't make you an actual fan long term because you go, okay, well, I guess a 3 hour compilation of big hits is fine, but I'm not sure I'm going to watch the second one or the third one. What you need in all these situations is to actually understand the game, because once you understand what's going on in rugby or football or cricket or whatever, the game becomes infinitely more interesting and more enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say that to anyone: just watch watch any sport that you know nothing about. So, for example, I don't know anything about lacrosse. So
Yeah.
I could go on YouTube, I could put a lacrosse game on, I'll put it on mute, and I guarantee I won't be watching it in 15 minutes because there's nothing keeping me there, there's nothing engaging me, I don't know what's going on. Um, and that wouldn't change if they started showing me celebrities and all this kind of stuff. What I need is to understand the game, understand why players are doing what they're doing, and what's actually happening. Because once I've got that, then I'm investing it, and I can understand it on a deeper level. So that's the main thing that I want to see is analysts talking about the game in a way that isn't the absolute lowest common denominator, kind of let's just talk in cliches, let's absolutely just, so anyone can understand no matter how hard they're trying. Like, I think people deserve and would appreciate being led a little bit and be asked to kind of think for themselves a little bit. And you can see that in films as well. Like, people think that the best way to make money on a film is to make it incredibly stupid and just blockbuster entertainment. But if you look at the films that have done well over the years, they tend to be, if not deep thinkers, they at least they're not just stupid blockbusters. Stuff like The Dark Knight and the spinning top one. What's that called?
Inception.
Inception. Yeah. So like, they're maybe they're not the most intelligent thing in the world, but they're obviously they do the quite a little bit of thinking.
But even on your point there, you talk nicely about it's on your onus to keep up. Even the quote unquote stupid blockbusters, because now Marvel Go is like, oh, you didn't understand this because you didn't watch our money making Disney spin offs, which is a brilliant money making tactic by them, but they're still looking the same place going, well, that's on you that you didn't keep up. We're not going to spend 20 minutes of our film explaining what happened.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same with those big TV series that do really well, is that they don't justify themselves every single time they're on. Like, if the fact is, if most people are watching, if they think that most people just happen across the Six Nations on the BBC and don't care at all about it, but they're just using it as entertainment for 2 hours or whatever, then surely that's also true of like when Peaky Blinders first started on the BBC. Like, most people aren't there for it. It just happens to be on and they're sat down watching it, but it doesn't spend its whole time leading people and appealing to the stupidest person. And I don't think rugby does itself any favors. And actually, if you look at something like the Olympics, which people love, they don't spend the whole time when it's gymnastics going, oh, this is how a judge works, and here's a celebrity fan who's going to talk to us about for 30 seconds about why they love gymnastics. They get intelligent people who've been gymnasts before, or at least know a lot about it. And you watch people flip around and they say that was a 6.2 difficulty, and the 360 Russian spin or whatever it was great, and you think, yep, fine, I don't know, I'm happy to kind of be carried along and understand that. And if it was on more often, people would follow it as well. So I think that's what I'd like to see. I like the idea of the draft. I feel like English rugby, especially, has probably jumped too far along for that now to be a conceivable strategy. But I love the idea of it. I think what the MLR needs to do is just, like you said, is kind of be its own league, and not to just follow the path of others and fall into the same pitfalls that they did. So yeah, that's what I kind of am looking forward to and seeing how they develop.
No, I completely agree, especially on that last point about the MLR, because it's very rare where you have a gold nugget project and you have so many prime examples of not only what to do but what not to do in the vicinity, and there's so many interactions. Like, I'm pretty sure George Killebrew, the MLR commissioner, must know somebody that works in NFL head office, and just to go, does this work or not, every time he has like a brainchild idea.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the key, because you've seen so many leagues start and fail because they try and be the same thing, and some also try and be so weirdly different. Like, their only selling point is that they're different to what's come before. Whereas the MLR is a functioning league first and foremost. Like, it's got good teams, got good players, it's got a good spread across the country. It's in the places where people care about rugby, and that's the basis, and that's what you absolutely need. But then it's on top of that, it's got all the good stuff that makes it actually unique. And so I think that's where it could progress. I think when you look at something like the 100, for example, in the UK, I think it obviously was a success last year, but I'm sure that was probably more to do with the fact it was on free-to-air TV. And
I could not agree more. Like, free to air bumps up everything. I think it's amazing so many things don't do free to air for launches of products.
Yeah, and well, that's what the MLR did, wasn't it? At the start, they put it
Yeah.
all on Facebook, and so you could watch whatever game you wanted.
It's still free now, isn't it, on the Rugby Network? Is it free on the Rugby Network? Or am I paying a subscription? I don't know I'm paying a subscription.
Yeah, it might be free. I don't know,
I think it's
actually.
free.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's a slightly different one in that it's pushed through. You have to get a subscription, but
you're not going to stumble. You're not going to stumble across it.
Yeah. But still, like you say, as long as it's there for people to watch for free, it's worth it. And so I think the MLR is going to go well. I think they've had obviously this disappointing end to the season with the Giltinis and Gilgonis kind of.
Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy, man. What a shame.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's kind of the lack of information as well. I know they've put out some news about it, but it's that's unfortunate. But to be honest, I don't think many people will care that much. I think the MLR has found a foothold, and I would be surprised if there's many British European fans who go to the US around the time that the MLR's on who aren't making a beeline for an MLR game, because I mean, if they're not, they definitely should be.
No, I agree with that.